Hello everybody, thank you for joining today's web talk, Extended User Security for Alfresco. Presenters today will be Justin Shepherd, our solution consultant here at Zaizi, and Abby Sachin, our business analyst here. If you do have any questions today, just type them in the chat box and we'll get them answered for you at the end of the session. I will send a link to this recording to everybody that participates today and that's registered for us. And that's it. Over to Justin.
Thank you very much, Now. So as mentioned, we're talking about extended security today, but perhaps a little bit of background to set the scene. Digitization of data, products and processes is an increasingly important driver of economic growth. We all know that and we hear that every day. But on the back of that, there's created a host of cybersecurity vulnerabilities and also risks. The push towards more of a multi-channel integration, for instance, adds more customer experience and engages to be much closer to our business partners and our customers, but it also increases the interface where intruders can exploit. Likewise, closer collaboration with external business partners, whether that be a supplier, whether that be a consultancy, a law firm, all that is very, very important and enriches everything from product development through to recruitment. But again, that also creates more complex supply chains and information flows. What's been talked about much more nowadays is a hybrid delivery model in which some business services, processes are moved towards the cloud and managed by an external provider. That also extends the security perimeter and makes your security suite that much wider. To stay ahead of attackers nowadays, organizations need to design processes, need to design platforms and IT infrastructures with security in mind, and then design security architecture and principles into their security programs in and around that. What we're seeing now is the use of personal devices for work, and that creates more opportunities, but it also creates opportunities for data to be lost or devices to be stolen, and this only exacerbates the problem. Companies need to choose certain types of data to classify, such as account data, personal data, or commercially valuable data. The start point for most companies is to classify data in line with their confidentiality requirements, adding more security for increasingly confidential data. For example, everyone is very protective around salary data. Moving on. So what does all this come down to? Well, there's a lot of governance and regulatory compliance, and this is only ever increasing. Organizations, whether that's a public or private facing business, they face increasing lists of statutory, regulatory, contractual, and legal compliance obligations. Now, this is serious stuff. The compliance issue should concern the board of a business anywhere, not just the IT department. The issues that are surrounding this are data governance, the Data Protection Act, operational risk, information security, and best practice. Whether we like it or not, employee error and negligence was one of the biggest reasons for data breaches last year. Loss or theft of physical data, such as a bag being stolen or a mobile device being lost, remains one of the top risks to information security. Cyber attacks are one of the most costly types of data breach in terms of monetary penalties. That's a monetary penalty to your organization if these breaches exist. And again, on top of that, councils are responsible for 33% of all enforcement notices issued. The healthcare and justice sectors, they received the highest number of monetary penalties last year. And important for us today, 94% of all breaches were due to poor information security. 94% of all notices issued in 2014 were attributed to non-compliance of the 7th principle of the Data Protection Act security. Just to remind you what the 7th principle is, it states that appropriate technical and organizational measures shall be taken against unauthorized or unlawful processing of personal data and against accidental loss or destruction and damage to personal data. Now, to put this into perspective, I've taken an extract from ICO, and what they say is, following investigation, it was established that the employee responsible had not received any formal data protection training. In addition, documents were being placed in an open access folder rather than a secure one. This led to the failure to censor sensitive personal data. Both laptop computers were unencrypted due to problems with data controllers' encryption software. And to make matters worse, there was no formal written guidance in place to detail how the data transfer process and how this should be operated. So here at Zaizi, we believe in open standard technology. So we build a solution on top of the industry-leading Alfresco platform. But enough of me, let's have a look to see how it works. Over to you, Abby.
Thank you, Justin. So, what is extended security? This is over and above the standard access mechanism and works as an extra layer applied after the permission on an object. An instance of a protective marking must be based on the protective marking scheme as stated by the administrative role during configuration. This user-level security clearance is used when checking to see if the user can have access to the document with a protective marker. The system should allow security clearance to be allowed to a group and hence inherited by all group members. Even though a security clearance is inherited from a group, the system must allow a different security clearance to be applied at the individual user level. So, why do you think we say it has extra protective layer? We have built our solution on top of Alfresco and it's customizable to fit your organizational security module. Despite a basic permission from Alfresco, this solution provides advanced security at the system level which can be inherited to all the sites, folders or documents you created. So, I'm going to show you a demo so we can know how you can use the extended security as an extra protective layer on top of Alfresco. The default behavior in Alfresco is when you create a site, you invite user with a standard roles. So basically what happens is after you create, you have to go to the site and you have to check through the member list. Then after that, you have to click on the invite user. And once again, you have to select user or groups individually. And you have to add a standard role which is set by Alfresco. Or else, if you want to give access to a user to view only a particular folder, then you have to go to a folder and manage permission, and you have to locally add that user to that particular folder so he can view only the folder, not the entire site. But when you take a large organization, it's nearly impossible to go to each and every site or a folder and add individuals or groups. To overcome this problem, we have introduced an extended security module, which is an extra protective layer. Well, each organization will have their own security model, which has different level of permissions and access control. By using our module, you can simply follow the same model which you practice in your organization. What you have to do is, you have to simply define your levels. So I have defined 3 levels. So classified is the top highest level which has permission to view all the official and standard information. Then official level which has official and standard information. And standard basically all the users can view them. Then you add a user to that particular access control. So basically that user can have that permission which is defined by you. Then again we have produced an advanced feature. So you can have a blacklist. So if you don't want a particular folder to be seen by an external user, or maybe from the department, maybe external departments, you could simply add a group or a user to the blacklist, and the system will make sure that it won't display the information to the user who you have set the permission to. So I will take a live scenario that the finance department is adapting a solution. So as you know, finance department will consist of more sensitive information, and sometimes even within the finance department, different employees won't be having access to the highly sensitive information. So for example, I'll take the user, Bella. She's actually working in marketing and sales. Obviously, she don't have any permission to view the cost or annual reports, and we have set the permission for her as standard, which means she can only view the basic information. So when we log in as Bella, she could only see the information which we have defined as standard folders. Here you go. So you can see she can see only the product pricing folders and again the annual revenue reports, which doesn't have any access control over it. But on the other hand, if you take a user who has a top level permission, say for example you log in as a financial executive who has a permission for every level, then that particular user could be able to see all the folders within the site with no restrictions. But again, as you remember, I was talking about blacklisting the group. So for example, if you don't want your external investors to see the folders, the internal information, then what you have to do is you have to simply add them to the blacklist. So I'm going to log in as Tom, who is an investor. So basically, he shouldn't have permission to see any internal sensitive information. Here you go. So he can only see the annual report, which is public. So basically, what you have to do to adapt this module is you have to just set the access levels and again add the users. So you can classify your own standard according to the security model you have in your organization. And you should have an admin control to do that. And again, when you go to a folder and when you when you go to a site and when you try to create a folder, maybe we'll call it highly sensitive information, which is only accessible by the authorized party, maybe CFO or the financial executive. Then we have to select that particular folder. And go to the manage aspects. So here you have to select who can see your folder. So we have to select the variables, the protective markers, who can see the information, again the third party, the blacklisting group. And to make sure that we have selected the correct, we have mentioned the correct security level, yes, the protective marking. So we had 3 levels. And we have selected the classified one, which is highly secure one, and it's restricted from the third-party external stakeholders. So, for example, if I'm going to log in as Tom, the investor, he shouldn't be able to see the folder which we created a while ago. Yes. So he can see the information because we have actually defined his permission as it is. So it's really simple. Again, to have a quick look at it, what you have to do is you have to just define the role and add the user to the role. And you have to, for each folder, you have to define which user, which access level have permission to view the folder. Yes? So it's simple as that. Extended security module is easy to use and we can ensure it's an extra protective layer across all the sites, folders, or documents across the system. Thank you.
Abby, thank you very much, and thank you, Justin, for that introduction. So as we said before, this will be sent out to everybody that joined us today. If you do have any questions, no questions as of right now, but if any do pop up, I'll be sending out both their email addresses so you can contact us and find out more. Tune in for our next monthly web talk. Details of it will be coming very soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.